Hello, Netherlands, and hello, world. We are here with the king of Eurovision 2020, the home contestant,
Too kind.
Jeangu!
Hey. Oh, you're too kind.
Thank you for having us into your home digitally, this beautiful
Mhm.
studio. Is that a studio, I take it?
Yeah, this is my home setup, my home studio, and it's actually where I made the first demo for my song for Grow.
God knows I try to hold it all together. I'm getting older, and it ain't what I thought it would be.
So this is where it all happened.
Yes, you continue to grow in the Grow studio. I feel that
hmm
arty vibe. But,
Yeah.
babes, quick question. How are you coping with lockdown, being in quarantine?
Well, it's ups and downs. Some days I think that's the case for many of us. Like, it's so much uncertainty in these times, and that's it ups and downs. I'm a pretty optimistic person, so I like to look forward and to discover like the light at the end of the tunnel. But yeah, it's hard sometimes, and I think the thing that just like helps is the idea that we're in this together. So everybody is going through something, and everybody has good or bad days. So that helps with coping.
Well, and one thing I've learned from you, it's the highs
Yeah,
and lows that make you grow.
yeah.
Never has it been
Oh,
more true.
yeah. I never thought that the song would could also be about this period. Like the year started off so amazing. 2020 was going to be like this amazing like roller coaster ride, and now it's also a roller coaster ride, but like quite different.
Yeah. And
uh
before we jump into the roller coaster of 2020, I want to rewind to 1993, okay?
Whoa.
Because this is when the heavens opened and delivered in Paramaribo, the artist Jeangu Macrooy. Now, the Dutch people obviously know Suriname very well, but for people outside of the Netherlands, could you tell us about Suriname? What do we need to know?
Well, it's a very small country in South America. 500,000 people is the population, and it used to be a Dutch colony. That's why we speak Dutch. We're the only Dutch-speaking country in South America. Um, and it's actually more of a Caribbean vibe because of the Dutch culture, it's more of the vibe that you have on the islands. So it's very much Caribbean and laid back, and it's always sunny, and the people are friendly, and we like to dance, we like to have fun. And I grew up there. I moved to the Netherlands when I was 20 years old. Yeah.
And do you
Mhm.
think those Surinamese musical influences or Caribbean influences affect your music today?
Well, yes, even more than they did a few years back. I find it funny. The moment I left Suriname, I kind of realized how rich the culture is there because a lot of people from all over the world, from Asia, from Africa, India and China and Indonesia, um, were brought to Suriname, and over the years, those cultures have fused into the Surinamese culture, which is very rich, and there are so many stories, and there are so many kinds of doing things. It's a rich food culture, um, and it's becoming even more now such a yeah, the inspiration that I get from that is really yeah, it's really helping me nowadays. Yeah.
And I'm curious, when you were a kid looking at the Netherlands and learning about the Netherlands, what
Yeah.
was your perception? What was your view?
Well, that it was cold for one. I'd been to the Netherlands on vacation like 2 or 3 times when I was younger, but that was such a different experience from than when you actually go and live there. It's such a different culture, and it's also that I became really aware of the history between those two countries because the Netherlands is pretty rich and pretty like everything is like people we have a good life over here, and there's quite a difference with where Suriname is. And I also realized that the Netherlands is this way partly because of all those years of colonialism and slavery and stuff like that. So it's like, yeah, but I have found, strangely enough, I really do feel at home here, and I also feel at home in Suriname. So I have like this split identity where I'm like, oh, I like it here, and I also like it there, and it's all part of me.
Well, speaking of split, when your
Yeah.
mama was pregnant, her zygote,
Yeah.
whatever, split into two. You have a twin.
Yeah, I'm a twin. Yeah. So I have a twin brother, Silan, and we have the same passions and the same talents and the same everything. We look at life pretty much the same. And I was born with my best friend. That's what I always say. Yeah.
Does he live in the Netherlands as well?
Yeah, he moved here, I think 2 years. Yeah, 2 years after me, he moved here. So there were 2 years when we were not in the same country, which was pretty, which was pretty interesting because we had to figure out what, who we were when we were like standing on our own in the world.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
this move from Suriname to the Netherlands, what prompted that?
I think it was just this feeling that there was more, because Suriname is not as connected to the rest of the world as for example, the Netherlands, and I've not seen much of the world other than the Netherlands and maybe French Guyana and Guyana, who are our neighboring countries. So I just wanted more, and I just had this big dream of making it as a musician, and I felt like I couldn't do that to the extent that I wanted in Suriname. Also with the music I was making back then, which was really emotional, singer-songwriter on a guitar music. The Surinamese people like to dance, and I just wanted to see if I could make it in the big world. And then I went to the Netherlands, which was like now I see like the Netherlands is like it's quite a small country actually, but compared to Suriname, 500,000 people, it was like going into the big wide world.
And in our research on Jeangu Macrooy, we saw that perhaps you were a bit of an LGBT icon in Suriname?
Well, not yet. Not back then. Because I came out of the closet when I moved to the Netherlands. And I always say it like this: the moment I stepped out of the plane, I was like out of the closet. And part of that is because when it comes to queer emancipation in the Netherlands, in Suriname, we still have a longer way to go. And I knew that I was moving to, when I was moving to the Netherlands, that I was going to a place where it was just more accepting, more tolerating. And also my first Pride in Amsterdam is still one of my most favorite memories I have. Just the freedom and the love that I felt was so liberating.
And
but nowadays, I think I'm very open about why I speak about my sexuality and who I am, because even if there's one kid in Suriname who sees that and is inspired to do the same and to bravely and confidently just be themselves, that is that just gives me a sense of purpose, actually.
And you mentioned the word freedom. I'm curious, as an artist, that sense of freedom, do you think that has changed you as an artist in any way?
Yes, because I think the freedom allowed me to really get to know myself. And when one gets to know who you really are, I think that is when you can really be truly honest in the music that you make. So yes, the liberation of coming here, the freedom that I found, I think it has made me a better songwriter, just because it made me more honest.
I'm ready for the biopic. I need the movie. Okay, you win Eurovision next year, and then the producers will make that biopic.
I'll have to write another song.
Well, speaking of Eurovision then, where were you when you found out that Eurovision 2020 was cancelled?
I was at home. I was actually in this room because we had I think it was a Skype call or something, Zoom call, with our team and with the broadcaster Afrotros. It had been something that was hanging in the air. It was not the first thing that was cancelled, but I was kind of hoping that they would just postpone it to like fall or December, which now I realize that was never a possibility. But like I was in shock that morning. I was unprepared. It was such a hard cut in our process, and it really took some time to process that and deal with that.
Yeah, it must be quite jarring because you were so go interview, performance, record, and then
and the thing is, I was so happy with my whole team. Everybody just got what we were doing, and everything that happened, I was enjoying that, and I was looking forward so much to what was going to happen like next week, in the next 2 weeks, in Rotterdam. It was going to be so beautiful, but hey, it's like we have to deal with that, right? It ain't what I thought it would be.
You're gonna grow.
Yeah.
Where were you in the process? You had your staging sorted out?
Yeah. We had the staging sorted out. I'm still fine tuning, but we had a pretty great idea about what it was going to be like, and I was just also enjoying the fact that I could perform the song live, which also made me grow into it more and understand what it does. Because when you make something in a studio, it's just a different thing than when you perform it for people. And I think that is, with a live performance, is when the magic usually happens for me, because then I can feel the energy and I know what it does with people. And that was such an interesting journey to be on. I get to play it also now, but it's it's different because it's not gonna be on that big stage, Eurovision stage.
DWDD?
Don't mind my mood, changing like the weather.
This live performance on The World Keeps Turning?
Yeah.
It was better, I thought, or it gave me more feeling than the music video, which is excellent. Because that magic was there. Were you nervous performing it for the first time live?
I was so nervous. I was nervous while rehearsing that day in the studio. But there was just, the last time we rehearsed it, there was just something that clicked, and I didn't have to focus anymore on the technical stuff. Oh, is my sound right? Is the band playing right? And I could just let go and just really dive into the feeling. And that is when I just found it. Like, that's what it's about. It's just about, really feeling that and emoting and communicating with the people. Yeah.
You know, that feeling that came to you, if you could rewind actually, in that studio where you are now sitting, when you wrote the song, what was the starting point? Was it an idea, a lyric, or was it a sound?
I was in the shower and I had this idea. The melody of the chorus came to me like, "Don't take it personally." And I was, as I talked about before, in a pretty dark period, and I was trying different ways to like clear my mind and to find out what was going on inside. On the day that I actually wrote the song, I just meditated because I really felt that there was something that needed to come out. And I meditated, and actually right over there, and right after I just very intuitively pressed down a note on my keyboard, which was the first note you hear in the song, and just started singing about what I was feeling. And then basically the whole song, the whole first part of the song flowed out of me. And then it was like, I just let it go. It was something I'd written about it, and I didn't even think about, oh, this could be something I want someone else to hear. It was just for me, just figuring out what I was feeling. And that was actually the beginning of a turning point in the way I felt. And I think 2 weeks later, I wrote the end part, the more optimistic grow part, which for me also helped in the healing process. So yeah, it was a very therapeutic way of songwriting.
Wow, that's a lot to take in.
Sorry.
Without prying, was the darkness like a mental health issue, or was it something like a practical issue in your life? I guess
no, it was mental health. It just had to do. I turned 25 last year. I'm 26 now, which is, I'm enjoying that way more than 25. But for some reason, I'm a romantic, and I romanticized everything about adulthood, like what it was gonna be like, and what love was gonna be like, you know. But it was at first it was just hard to accept that no, it's not smooth sailing, you know, once you've reached adulthood, and once you find love, it's also not, you know, this ever rising, you know, euphoric thing. It's ups and downs, and you fall and you learn and everything. So I had to let go of my very romantic idea of what life would be, and just see the beauty in the imperfections, in the failures, but also in getting up again and putting yourself back together again.
And it seems like from that darkness, you've explained the central idea of the song. It seems very clear.
Well, I think one of the most beautiful things about releasing the song was getting personal messages from fans, from people who heard the song and were really touched. I feel like, because it's my gift to translate these emotions that I'm feeling into music, and if that helps someone else, that is, to me, that's the most beautiful thing.
And how did the invitation to Eurovision come about then? How do you go from song alone in studio, where you are now, to invitation to Eurovision?
Well, we were in talks for a few years actually, and I knew that there was that I would have an opportunity to send in a few songs. But I also knew that there were a lot of people who were going to do that, so my hopes weren't very high actually. I was just creating because I needed to. But with this song, I just knew the moment I wrote it that if there was a song that I was going to use to introduce myself to a much bigger audience than I had up until then it definitely had to be this song. It was just this strong feeling that that is the way it had to be. But eventually, I sent in a few demos, and I'm so happy that they really felt the core of this song and what it was about, and that they believed in this one. Mm.
When I'm alone, I am defenseless, just like the boy I was, afraid in the dark.
Yeah.
Now, what's really striking to me is if someone was just passively listening, they say, oh, that's very simple. But there's a lot going on in that sentence. Mm-hmm. What were your fears as a child? Do you have explicit memories of those?
Well, when I was a child, they were very childlike. But what I found is that fear, for some reason, fear is still very present in my life, and I found a way to deal with it. And when I feel fear nowadays, it just reminds me of when I was a kid, and that sometimes it's not logic. Sometimes you can be afraid of things that you're not supposed to be afraid of, right? And I'm also thinking about, like, in that time I was thinking a lot about mortality. You know, we're all gonna die someday, and it's the most mysterious thing, but still there's a lot of fear surrounding that, and also the fact that it's so unpredictable, life, you know. Let 2020 be an example of that, right? We think we can have it all under control, but we actually don't. It's funny because it sometimes I just recognize the child within me, and writing about that gave me a sense of understanding how that works for me. Yeah.
And Jeangu Macrooy, the bookies are one thing. Maybe they underrate a lot of songs. But then the feelings that people have when they hear your song, that's something else. I'm curious. Do you think you could have won?
Well, let me put it like this. I think at the end of the day, it's about what you feel. If something gives you a feeling, and I think this song was all about that. And I also really believe in that's a very universal theme, like a theme. In the music video, we had all of these people who were just not actors, but just real people, and we were talking about the song, and everybody shared these stories about their own life. With all of the plans we had for the staging and the way my team worked on it, and we were all on the same page, I do think that if I performed on the 16th and put everything, my heart and soul into it, it might have transcended to like Europe, and I think I think I might have won.
Yeah, I'm getting those feels hearing you talk.
Yeah, but we never. Yeah, we'll never know. Maybe next year.
Yeah. Hey, I'm ready. But the staging, can you tell us anything about it, or is that top secret still?
Well, it's not top. That's not that top secret anymore because it's not gonna happen. I can tell you a little bit about it. We're gonna focus on because that's what I also learned by playing it live. That it doesn't need a lot. It doesn't need. It's a very naked, vulnerable song, especially in the beginning. So that was good. It was going to start very, very intimate and very, very small, very, as if you're sitting in the room with me while I was writing it the first time. But also the end is quite euphoric and hopeful. So that was going to be a steady grow in in growth in the way the visuals developed, and I wanted really the end to be this, this explosion of optimism and hope. But yeah.
Wow. That gospel sound at the end, that moment, were you going to have backing vocalist on stage to convey that?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Oh, it sounds beautiful image. And the people in the music video, you mentioned that you know them. Was that a real therapy session?
Well, we didn't have, actually, no, I didn't have a real therapist in the room, but the director of the video, Joe Roberts, actually came up with the idea of doing like kind of a support group, but it's not for like, alcoholics or something. It's just for people who are trying to deal with life. And it actually turned into a very therapeutic thing, because we were all sharing personal things about moments in our life when we felt that it wasn't going our way and not going right, and we didn't get it. And we were sharing the lessons we learned from those moments. And it was also my grandmother in the video, the old lady, which which was very which was very, very beautiful to have her there. She was 89 now, so it's just literally people from all the different backgrounds and different ages just sharing stories about life. And I was wondering, why don't I do this more often? Because it's so beautiful to find out that we're all kind of going through the same things, self-discovery and self-love and stuff like that. Yeah.
And at the beginning in the mirror, is that actually your apartment?
No.
Oh,
it's not my apartment.
Well, it felt real nonetheless.
No. Well, that's good to hear. No, it's not my apartment.
You, I believe, were one of the very first artists to be reconfirmed for Eurovision 2021. It was like that. Was there ever any doubt that it would be you, or had you guys talked, don't worry, your time will come next year, if not now?
Well, no, there wasn't any doubt. In like the first, in like that Skype meeting we had when they announced the cancellation, that was also the moment when the broadcaster Afrotros confirmed that they wanted me to go on for 2021. So I was really happy about that. I'm also quite sad about artists that haven't gotten the same chance, because I do think that knowing how much work and effort goes into this, they deserve to get the chance to be on that stage. But yeah.
I guess the challenge for you as an artist, you wrote Grow, just as a song, not for Eurovision, but now you'll be writing a song, and one of the songs you're writing will be for Eurovision. Does that impact the way you view things, or are you trying to avoid that?
I'm trying to avoid that. But yeah, I'm trying to avoid that. Because I don't want to write. I think you have to start from the inside out. There has to be something urgent that you want to share with the world. And right now, if I had to think about it, really, okay, if I would write a song right now, it would probably be about connection and being there for each other and stuff like that, which is great and inspirational also. But I do think that it's the most authentic when it's something that comes from within that you really want to share. So it depends on what happens in the next 6-8 months of writing.
What I love about your music, so I guess my two kind of the poles I think of, there's Gold, which was the first song from you I heard.
Yeah.
Game of Thrones, oh my God.
Yeah.
What a moment in that teaser. Yeah.
Yeah.
and then Grow, which is also amazing. Got this G thing going on. But it's like they're very different, yet I still hear this soulful kind of... It's distinctly you is what I'm trying to say. but you're able to put that in many different genres and colors. Would the next song for Eurovision be completely different? Do you want another Grow? How are you thinking?
No, I actually, I always try to do something different because I get bored easily by doing the same stuff. Even now, I'm thinking, okay, but how am I going to approach my music next time? Because when I wrote Bro, it was completely different in the way, from the way that I'd written songs before. And so, no, it's not gonna be Grow Part 2. And it's it's just gonna be something different. I like to challenge myself. I like to try new things. I like to be inspired by things that I didn't know before. So just trying to, yeah.
Representing the Netherlands with Still Growing. It's a Jeangu.
Yeah.
Growing again.
Growing again.
Concert Gabo. We just saw a beautiful acoustic video on your IGTV Instagram. Inside concert, Concert Gabao, Concert Gaboo.
Concert Gebouw.
There you go. But what was that like? Because that is one of the world's most iconic venues, and you're there all by yourself.
Yeah. Well, I've performed there a few times before, and it's always it's so magical. The acoustics, everything, the way it looked, so beautiful. It was a very, mixed feelings. It was great to be on that stage. It was also a bit sad knowing that the seats weren't going to be filled that night, or for a very long time coming. And it was a beautiful experience, but also a bit of a sad undertone there.
Oh. Well, Rotterdam Ahoy, you did another live performance with your band, I believe.
With my band, yeah, and that was actually the last day that there could be performances shot there, because they were busy building up a hospital actually. That's why there's I don't know if you've seen the live footage, but there's a white tent in the background, and there were people all over the building working on this hospital, which was also like, okay, I'm standing in Ahoy, and it's amazing. It's also such a legendary arena, but the situation is so it's quite depressing sometimes when you think about it. But it was beautiful. I think it has just given me some, maybe a bit of closure, just a little bit of closure, being able to perform there, and that's all. But yeah.
Jeangu, next year, hopefully, when there's a Eurovision tour and you're traveling and doing interviews, every single interviewer is going to ask you the same question at the very end of the interview. So I'm going to kick it off now, because I'm thinking 2021 already. Let's get it going. Could you could you sing a little bit of your song?
Yeah, of course. Let's see.
Oh, wow. You even got the instruments ready.
I'm going to do it a cappella, but okay. When I'm sad, I am unreasonable, just like a little kid mad at the world. When I'm alone, I am defenseless, just like the boy I was afraid in the dark. Don't take it personally, don't be offended, don't mind my mood changing like the weather. God knows I tried to hold it all together. Oh, I'm getting older, and it ain't what I thought it would be.
Oh, your neighbors are very lucky to live next door to you. Oh, Jeangu, Thank you so much for taking the time to chat. It's so nice to learn more about your background, your plans, and your future, honey, because it is bright.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It was a pleasure also talking to you directly, and thank you for this amazing platform that you have celebrating Eurovision. It's really a joy to see that you're having so much fun doing all of this, and it creates such a nice community around Eurovision. Thank you for the support.
Oh my goodness, thank you. Ooh, gotta keep on growing over here. Here's Jeangu. He will be at Eurovision 2021, but he'll also be participating, I believe, in Europe Shine a Light.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, great.
On the 16th.
May 16th. So... Y'all better tune in. Awesome. Jeangu Macrooy, thank you so much.
Thank you.